7 plus. Let's talk that talk.
If you've been in business 7 years, you're clearly doing something right. Like, you haven't closed your doors, you're making enough money to stay open, but you gotta ask yourself, are you doing the things that you wanna do, not just in your business, but in your life? A lot of times what happens as business owners is we have these reasons why we start our company. We wanna make more money. We don't wanna have a boss. We're a bad employee. We wanna spend more time with our family or our kids. Just wanna live a life that we're in a little bit more control of. What happens is your business can take that over. Instead of not working for someone else 40 hours a week, you're working for yourself 80, 90 hours a week and maybe making less money. These sacrifices you make at the beginning of your journey, you get to decide how long those decisions stick with you based on how much you evolved through these previous two phases. And so when I think about this 7th plus year in business, no matter who's watching this, you have to give yourself a pat on the back because you're doing enough right that you're still in business. Now, when you ask yourself, or simply go back to the exercise, are you doing what you want to do? Are you doing what you're good at? Are you still doing some of what you're not good at? Or are you doing things that you don't want to do? The accountability around doing this exercise, I like to do it quarterly based on the goals of my business, but at least once a year, you can answer these questions. And remember, I didn't figure a lot of this stuff out for my first business until 7 years in. And then even though I was removed from a lot of the decisions being made in that company, I had to step back in and give some more direction because there were still, you know what it was, Joey? I wasn't doing enough things that I was good at in that business to keep it moving forward in the way that we wanted it to. Now, reflecting, I never could have told this story on the path to getting there. But when you get to 7 plus years in business, it's a really good time to reflect on, where is this going? Are you trying to sell this company? Are you trying to give it to your family? Are you gonna operate it right now because it makes a bunch of cash? It still depends on the profitability. It's just like when you hear these entrepreneurs or figureheads online talking about like 40 isn't too old to start, 50 isn't too old to start. They do like the Oprah or the woman that wrote Lord of the Rings, or these people.
KFC dude.
Yeah, it's Colonel Sanders or KFC dude. It's like these people on their paths don't necessarily figure it out right away. Have you seen that meme or I think we have a picture of it in our house, but the iceberg that shows success, but then it's like everything that happened before. Just because you've been open 3 years, 7 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever it is, doesn't mean you can't practice the exercises that we're talking about to just simply align for this quarter, for the next 3 months, for this year. What are your goals? What are you gonna put in place in order to be able to get back to that fun part of your business? Or if you haven't gotten there yet, what can you do to prepare so that you can tell the story that you want to?
You know, everything that you do inside your business, you're not gonna like. I think a lot of these people, and I'm curious on, like, in the 7-year mark, they have this thing flowing, they have this thing going, and then they try to like kind of go other avenues, right? How firm are you on making sure you're going narrow and deep inside of your business?
I think one thing that I've never really been great at is setting goals, because usually when I set my mind to something, I get focused on accomplishing it. So there's this saying like, stop and smell the roses. Well, I'm the type that I kind of have a hard time realizing the flowers are growing. So like when I see opportunities to be in the moment, to capture a win or hitting a goal, or even the progress towards a goal, or acknowledge the beauty of seeing something that isn't going right, so you can spend your time on that to fix it. One thing that I've found in my 15 years as an entrepreneur is you have to have goals, because then you can give your team, yourself, anyone involved credit towards what is the next step. Goals remove the emotion of the day-to-day of your work. And as you're continuing to align on doing what you're good at, what you like doing, what you're not good at, and what you don't like doing, some of your goals will require you to, hopscotch or whatever through these 4 different quadrants of this exercise. But if there's always light at the end of the tunnel, you're not stuck in this path of like, oh man, I'm doing something I don't want to, or oh, I really am not good at this, or oh, I am good at it, but I don't like doing it. Instead, you can look at like, what is required of me to lay out a system that is good enough to meet this goal that I can either keep as my role of responsibility or I can hand off to someone else. And it's so much easier said than done. But it goes back to the boring parts of business. How accountable are you holding yourself? How serious are you taking on the responsibility that you agreed to when you started your business, that if you want to get here, it's not a straight path? There's stuff you have to do. There's things you have to grow. I don't know about you, but me, I kind of feel like most things should happen much faster than they actually do.
Yeah.
Without setting goals, having a realistic path to achieving those goals and having something in place where whether it's your job or it's someone else's job, do you have things set out that you can look at that just show this person is doing what they need to at this time for us to achieve this goal? It's so easy because for so long as business owners, go back to year 0 to 3, like our gut instinct, our spidey sense, the way we felt about something emotionally, that was how we made decisions. Now, as we're responsible for more people, someone's life, someone's paying their rent, feeding their kids, putting gas in their car based off the paycheck that they're gonna get when they show up. Coming from a world where I only hired laborers, I'm like, oh, we can get another one. That's not the case as you get further and further in business. When you delegate the roles and the things off of your plate, you take on more accountability and more responsibility to deal with the stress that comes with being responsible for other people. The way you do that, like we talked about earlier, is being profitable. Because if you have enough money to hire people, it also gives you the ability to not be so reactive with your employees. Oh, Sarah can't do her job, let's just get rid of her. It's never that. If you have the things in place to document, it's not an emotional reaction because Sarah messed up a call or didn't send an invoice or didn't do this one thing. If you have goals laid out for people where quarterly you can see that they're doing a good job going down the path towards achieving their goals, it just makes everything so much more simple and removes the emotional reactiveness, visionary tendencies that we have. But again, if we just remember what got us here won't get us there, it can keep you in the moment a little bit more of just holding yourself accountable of following through on the systems you set up.
On next week's episode of Dope Conversations.
But if you're bringing in a bunch of sales to processes that are still broken, you should probably slow down on trying to sell. Maybe take that hat off, put the hat on of doing something you're not quite as good at or you don't like doing. How could you duplicate the things that you do to show them to someone so they could do that to 30, 50% of your ability? Because now you're freeing up more time to do the things that'll bring in revenue and profit.